Welcome back to the Refugee series. This is episode 4, which is about how to make an application for asylum. So once you arrive to the safe country, what you can do, but also what you can do beforehand. So like I said, you can make an application beforehand with Canadian Railroad, United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees in your country, and also with the Committee of Red Cross in your country, the International Committee of the Red Cross, and also the embassies of your choice in your country. And obviously Canadian Railroad is from Canada. And those are one of the ways in which you can tell your case. They'll interview in your home country and get the visas and the flight done and accommodation when you arrive. That's the most easiest way of doing it. And you don't have to get a passport, they'll do it for you. You don't have to worry about, having a treacherous journey and dying and being killed. Of course, there's a waiting list. Of course, it can take time, but it is one of the sensible ways of doing it. So if you have got time, you've got 1 or 2 years, in where all this preparational work can happen, because it can take that long, then it's good to do that. So if you can lay low for 1 or 2 years whilst the process is happening, the best way. Obviously, if things happen quickly and out of hand and you have to move fast, then you have to find out the best way out of the country, like I talked about in episode 3. And once you have figured that out, whether you get a visa, if you can, a flight, or whether you go by road or by sea, you have to be very, very, very careful and very, very safe, especially because the 1951 convention says you must apply for asylum in the first safe country, and as soon as you arrive in Europe they will fingerprint you and trace you. So that is that. But now, say for example you have arrived to your safe country on your own, not through another not through UNHCR or anything like that, or the Canadian Railroad. So you've arrived without a visa, or maybe you have a tourist visa or a student visa or a work visa, but you have arrived to your safe country. You don't have a refugee status, yeah? So either you apply for it before, like I said, with the International Committee of Red Cross, UNHCR, the embassies or Canadian Railroad in your home country. But if you are unable to do that or unable to wait for that process and you have to go quick, then once you arrive to your safe country, whether it's via a visa, student, work, tourist, or whether you are there without a visa and you just arrive, what do you do? Do you tell the attendant, the officer, as soon as you get off the plane or as soon as you see them, you come out of the truck or whatever, you're coming off the boat? Or do you do it once you're inside the country? So there's 2 ways of doing this, and usually and often it says the procedure is to straight away apply for asylum. And that would be either at the airport when the officer's checking your documentation, such as your visa or passport, or when you get off a lorry and there's some security guards there, or whoever's there, border control, or if you come by sea, when you get to a coast guard, and then they'll contact the border control, whatever. So that's the best way of doing it, where you say, I am applying for asylum, please, I'm a refugee. Then they will take you straight away to a center where they will screen you, which is just getting your basic details, if you've got any documentation, and finding out your name, who you are, where you're from, etc., and age, and why are you applying for asylum. So for LGBT individuals, under the 1951 Convention for Refugees, it would be you're under a particular social group category, which is LGBT. So be aware of that. Because I always say this, people are like, what particular social group? Do your research. Seriously, read all the laws, read all information online before you go. Do not be blind. So if you are LGBT, of course, as soon as you hit puberty, you will know. And if you're in an unsafe country, you will know. So be smart, be educated, read, research, save, get an education, get a qualification that can be used abroad if you can. Right. So once you've been taken to this center, you will be allowed, once they've screened you, you will be given a room to sleep in, you'll be given food, so your accommodation. You'll also have access to a free lawyer which is legal aid, and your case will, basically start the process, and then you'll have your second long interview later. So that's when you arrive. Straight away you apply for asylum. The benefits for that is obviously you get screened straight away, you get accommodation, you get food and everything, but you have to stay in this center, which is like a prison, okay? And they could reject you quickly and have you deported if they don't think you have a case. Of course you can appeal, of course you've got legal support. So that is the situation there. Now if you're LGBT, you don't always want to be put in a cell with other people from countries where they might be homophobic, so you can ask to be placed separate, safely away from those people. Sometimes that happens, so that might be a reason why you don't ask for asylum as soon as you enter the country. The second option would be that you find your own accommodation as you enter the country. You find your own, if you've got money to get food or someone to support you, and then you find your own lawyer. Either you pay for them or you get legal aid. I'll put a link below from the IGLG organization, and they have got links to different types of free lawyers in the UK. Every country has them. And then once you find your own accommodation, then you can apply for asylum. And when you apply for asylum, then you won't be put into a detention center or a refugee center oftentimes, because you've got your own accommodation. But you do get support. As soon as you apply for asylum, in most countries you will get an allowance for accommodation, whether that be a room, or you'd get money for it, or a voucher, and you'd get food, whether that be food vouchers or money, and you'd have a little bit of money, very little money to survive. And you're not allowed to work. Most people do, cash in hand, but you're not meant to. The benefits of having that option of applying later is that you can get your own accommodation or your own lawyer, and you'd have to be in a center. But the negatives are that you might be looked at, why didn't you apply straight away as you're supposed to? So those are the two ways in which you can apply for your asylum. And in the following videos I will explain about the asylum interview. I've talked about the screening interview, and then I'll talk about your initial interview, which is a long one, later. So thank you very much. Please leave a comment below, like this video, share with whoever you think will benefit. Thank you.